Hi, I'm Daniel Bibby. I'm the co-writer, co-producer and director of Half Past Midnight, and I'm a filmmaker based in Brisbane, Australia.
Didn't take you for a smoker.
What'd you take me for?
Are you doing anything right now?
No.
Do you want to get a drink? I mean, it's late, but I don't really feel like going home just yet.
Marcus.
Can we stop now? This is silly. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, so when I first thought of Half Past Midnight and writing it, films that came to mind was Blue Valentine. That film is one of my all-time favorites. It really depicts sort of like a relationship at the start and at the end, and the way that it jumps between timelines was something that really interests me. Also Past Lives, the recent Celine Song film. Another one that dealing with similar themes of, relationships and sort of, I don't know, it just really hit with me. And another massive one is Normal People. For me, that is one of my all-time favorites. So they were kind of the ones that I was thinking of when I was doing the first draft. And then when I eventually sent the draft to Kelly, co-writer on this, I just sort of said, have you seen these? What do you feel about it? And we were very much on the same page. So those films in particular were ones that really resonated with me. I mean, we were very lucky because we had time to prep, and sort of doing sort of pre-production on this made it possible for us to shoot this in 2 days. Which normally would be really stressful, but because I had Louisa as my producer on this, we made it so everything was kind of mapped out and ready to go. We went to the locations beforehand. I have a really good relationship with Julian, so sending him shot list ideas and sort of timing out how we'd be able to sort of pull this off in 2 days, just purely from a budget standpoint, because we had to have Mitch and Mia in, and so we could only really afford to get them in for 2.5 days, really. So I'd say it's like a lot of prep beforehand. And then once we got there, it was kind of, we were sort of able to just get into the location, have a feel for it, and working with Mia and Mitch beforehand, we had 1 day of rehearsals, and that allowed the blocking to happen before we even got to location. So then once we were there, we kind of knew where we're at, we knew where the camera was going to be, and it made sort of those 2 days like not stressful at all, because we kind of mapped it out and we knew where we were going to be. So I mean, you think 2 days would be stressful, but I was kind of there just having the best time, because we were so prepped and ready that we were never really under the pump, and so yeah, it was really chill. It starts obviously in the audition process, and then having follow-up meetings and just getting to know people, getting to know how they like to have communication on set. And for me, I'm very relaxed and I'm very collaborative. So if someone has an idea about a scene or how they think this character might do it differently, I'm always really open to that, because I feel like you're always going to find something maybe a little bit better if you lean into sort of collaboration. And so for me, with Mia and Mitch, having that rehearsal, it was like maybe only a couple of hours, but we sort of got to sort of talk about the characters, talk about the scenes, see how they were feeling as well. And then once we got to set, again, sort of like going through it, seeing how they're feeling. I would always go to them and just ask, like, what do you think? And then they'll come back and they'll go, well, I'm thinking this as well. Maybe we could try this way. And it would get a couple of different performances that we didn't have in rehearsal, and would eventually get to something that was, was perfect. But I always let them lead. I feel like if you let your actors lead and you collaborate with them, you will find something special. So working with them was an absolute dream. So I thought about this before going on set, because people have different ideas on where you should be if you're, You could be in Video Village or you could be right next to the camera. So I kind of did both. I wanted to see which one worked for me. And for the more intimate scenes, I was next to the camera. And then sometimes I would go back and be with everyone in Video Village. So it's sort of like a mix. I do feel like being next to the camera, you just get the performance right then and there. You see the emotions on the face. And then go back to check in Video Village, see how the frame is looking. So I winged it. I did both. And that honestly worked for me because I was like, I got the best of both worlds. I feel like if I stuck to one, I might have missed out on something. So being able to do both was perfect. Half Past Midnight is based on a relationship of mine. And so when I was writing it, I moved to Brisbane a couple of years ago, came up with all my filmmaking friends from film school with big dreams. It's like, we're going to come to Brisbane, we're going to make films. And sort of years went by and we never quite found a story to tell. And so I was always thinking, well, what's something that resonates with me when I go to the movie theater? It's stories that feel sort of like personal, they're intimate, and I can find something in that when I go to watch a film. So I thought the best thing was, well, what's happened to me that I can draw upon in my past? And so Half Past Midnight was kind of spawned from that. It really helped when COVID happened because that sort of slowed everything down. I was working full time in hospitality and always wanted to pursue the dream to be a filmmaker. And when COVID happened, I got to sort of just take a beat. Mum was down on the Gold Coast with my grandparents and she was like, well, if you're free, can you come down and help? They need some care. And by having that extra time and being down there, I was like, well, I've got time to write a script. And it kind of felt like something I've been through before. Mum was caring for the grandparents and I had been in that position before in a previous relationship of mine. So I was like, well, how can I incorporate everything to make an interesting story? So once I did that, I did a first draft. It was very one-sided. And obviously that's coming from my point of view because I'm in the relationship, but I really wanted Half Past Midnight to be from both sides. So then when you're an audience member, you can watch it and maybe you side with Harper, maybe you side with Marcus, maybe you side with both of them. It's kind of a relationship story where you sort of go, well, they still love each other, but it's obvious that they're not meant to be together anymore. So that's when Kelly came on board. So Kelly came on, I'd been a big fan of her work for ages, and so I had my draft, told her my story, and I was just like, now you can do whatever you want with this. I trust you, here's the draft, and just write something. And her writing is beautiful. So again, with the whole theme of this film was just a lot of trust with the people that I collaborate with. And so yeah, Half Past Midnight sort of came from that place that I was 10 years ago. Yeah, no, we blocked it out on the day. And then that's all down to Julian and also the first AD, Zoe, because we didn't have extra ADs for background actors, and they were all friends. They're like movie theater employees that I work with, personal friends, and we sort of I was like, this is where we need to go. We need to go from outside all the way in, all the way through. And we did rehearsals for maybe half an hour, maybe an hour. But it really, I think when you look at it, you would think it would take forever, but it was pretty chill. And that's down to Julian and the Steadicam operator, because like they're, professional.
It looks like they...
Yeah, so Adrian, the composer, I've known him, again, theme of this, for a few years. He worked on Space Time as well. He did the music for Space Time, which is amazing. If you haven't checked it out yet, check it out. It was with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra. So it sounds amazing. And so again, I just approached him and was like, hey man, do you reckon you might be interested in doing this short film? And he was totally open to it. So I had an idea and playlists in my head of, I want kind of like a 60s, 70s vibe to it, have that big orchestral score, sort of just to bring everyone in, have those strings, have, trumpet as well, and then for like different parts, different sounds. So outside, when it's a bit more romantic, we had the harp, and that was from a film, I heard it in Licorice Pizza, and I was like, that's perfect. So collaborating with him, again, it was just like I showed him what I was thinking. He would come back with a couple of different things. But really it was just letting him do his thing. Like, he is so talented, and he nailed exactly what I was thinking for the score. It really starts off with the people you surround yourself with. I feel like filmmaking is sort of like you find your people. Once you find your people, that's a good start. And then next is really good writing. If you can have a script that has really good writing, then kind of everything else will fall into place because it's on the page. So sort of combining that with, you know, your local community, something that, you know, you think is a really good piece of art. I would just say you've got to keep hustling, especially for this film. This probably took 2 years until we even got to shoot it. And that was just through meeting people, talking with people, pitching it, and then sort of like people that you pitch it to, then they might know someone, and then through them they might know someone. And it's just a lot of hard work and hustle. And I'd say for anyone that wants to do this and sees, you know, Half Past Midnight or any other Australian short film and go, I want to do that, you've really got to dedicate your time and energy to it, because it's 9 times out of 10, it's not going to just happen for you. You really have to pursue it. And especially with this project, this was something that was really personal to me. So I just kept on going, kept on pitching it, kept on talking to people. And a lot of times everything does fall in place when you're sort of open to the idea of it. Sort of, you know, you're talking to people, you're honest with them, why it means something to you, why it should be made, what the intention is behind it. And people will always sort of gravitate towards that and be motivated to help you get to that next level. So number 1, Back to the Future. I mean, honestly, the Back to the Future trilogy, I've got 88 miles per hour tattooed on my arm. That's sort of like how much that film means to me. And that's just because I grew up watching that. That was the movie that was on TV all the time. And it was just something special about it. I don't know why, it just captivated me when I was a kid. And I just go back to it all the time, and I love it. So I'd say, I mean, everyone's probably seen it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Back to the Future, definitely. Another one, Singing in the Rain, old school musical from the 1950s. I watched that with my grandparents, so that has a sort of a special sentimental value for me growing up. Just sort of seeing all the colors and the musical numbers. It's just, I think that one is just an all-time classic. Frances Ha, I only really watched recently, but that goes straight into the top 4. That film is just, if you're going through it in your 20s and you don't know what's going on and you feel like everyone else has something going on around them that's better than you and you're just sort of going through the motions, it is just a really beautiful film of just someone trying to find themselves and find their place in the world. So I would definitely recommend Frances Ha. And number 4, what do I have for number 4? Can I just check it for a sec? Harry Met Sally. That is just, I don't know what to say about it. It's just the all-time with comedy, romance, New York City. That film it's probably number 1 besides Back to the Future. That film is just like, for me, it's perfect. Yeah. I think it's kind of happening now. Back in the 70s, there was sort of a big rise in Australian films, and then it sort of died off, and there's always the stigma about Australian films. It's like, oh, it's Australian. You know, it's not something from America. But right now, there is a new wave of sort of Australian filmmakers, especially in Queensland as well, telling stories that mean something to them. I feel like that's kind of where we need to go, is sort of personal Australian stories set sort of wherever they've grown up or a life experience is happening to them, something that's unique to Australia, because then that will translate overseas. People can always resonate with a story that, you know, they can maybe put themselves in, but then if you set it in an Australian location, then that becomes, you know, sort of something for us as well. And we're sort of saying to the world, these are our stories, and they're important. So I really do feel like there is a new rise in Australian film. In the next 10 years, you're going to see some really great writer-directors come out. It's already kind of happening now, but just personal stories, stories you can empathize with, stories that sort of like, I don't know, sort of like something that makes you feel something. down to earth. You know, there's lots of superhero movies going on and big budgets and stuff, but those sort of smaller, intimate stories, I think they're the ones that's going to be sort of like raising the bar for Australian film. Yeah, so my first job was a video store. You know, that is a cliche for a filmmaker, but you know, I loved movies as a kid. I was like, how can I watch as many movies as I can? There's a local video store up the road, so I just started working there, vacuuming the floor, stacking the shelves. And still this day, even though it was like $6 an hour, it was the best job I ever had. I worked with a guy there called Marco, who was my supervisor, and he would just recommend all these movies to me. He was like the god. I guess he was like the Quentin Tarantino of like Benoa on the Gold Coast. He would know everyone that came in. He would be like, oh, what do you think? You know, what are you feeling tonight? And so working with him, that just broadened my horizons. It was like asking questions about film. And so then from there, working with that job, I was like, well, what's the next thing? I can't be working at the video store. I'll go work at a movie theater. And that kind of progression is like, I've always been around films, and working in a movie theater, again, you get free movies. Maybe that's something I'd recommend to filmmakers. Get jobs in video stores, they're not around anymore, but, or movie theaters, because it's expensive to go see a movie. You go work there, it's a pretty cruisy job. If you'd like to follow, you can follow on Instagram. It's at @midnightmovie. And if you want to get in touch and chat movies and collaborate, you can find me at Instagram as well, Dan Bibby 8813.
Sweet.